Hello, and welcome to today's Back to Basics show. I'm Rico Burton, Lady B, and I volunteer with AARP Arizona. AARP is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to empowering people 50 and older to choose how they live as they age. With a nationwide presence, AARP strengthens communities and advocates for what matters most to their families. This includes health security, financial stability, and personal fulfillment. AARP also produces the nation's largest circulation publications, AARP the Magazine and AARP Bulletin. In the month of June, AARP recognizes Pride Month by raising awareness and sharing valuable information and resources with the LGBTQ plus community. This month provides an opportunity for AARP to foster and encourage social connections, helping individuals feel more supported and connected. In doing so, AARP strives to enhance overall well being, ensuring everyone feels valued while advancing its mission to empower individuals to choose how they live as they age. You can visit us for more information at the URL that's scrolling at the bottom of our screen. Coach SheriAnne is with us today, and she's going to talk to us about the importance of connections. Hello.
Hey, Lady B, how are you?
I won't complain. How about you?
Excellent. Good. In the full swing of summer and I love it. It's not too hot yet. Ask me next month. I might be like, no.
It's a little toasty, but you're right. It's not too hot yet.
Yeah. So when you're tuning in, please let us know where you're tuning in from. I always love to see that. And please post any questions or comments in the section below. And I'll be sure to answer any questions that you might have. And if I can't get to them during the show, I will be sure to circle back around and answer them for you. But yes, so let's jump in. Social connections. This is a critical thing that gets overlooked so often. We talk about our well-being and our health and our mental and all these things, but it's social connection is one of those things that cannot be overlooked. It's one of the biggest things to help it. What they've said that is, well, actually during COVID, which was just not too long ago, studies were showing that 2 out of 3 adults were experiencing isolation. And that can lead to a whole host of physical ailments. And so it's one of those things that will help keep mental illness at bay. They've done studies that if you are really socially connected and doing a lot of social interactions, that it helps to activate neural circuits in the brain, and it keeps the brain flexible and continuing to grow because our brain is so complex, and it's one of those things, just like our muscles, if we don't use it, we're going to lose it. And so social interactions will help to create it, make it be more flexible, and more neural pathways are getting created. And it helps to boost cognitive reserves and mental resilience, which we all want, because if we're going to be here physically, we better be here mentally as well, right?
Absolutely. And what you're talking about in psychology, we call it neuroplasticity. And it
Yeah.
is the brain being able to develop after new events and new experiences. And it also helps people kind of ward off dementia and other things as well. So what you're talking about connections is great.
Yes. And so, as we're talking about this today, I will encourage you to kind of do a self assessment on where you're at with your social connections and what you can do to strengthen them. If you don't have them, I will give you tips on how to create them. But when I look at social connections, I group them into 3 categories. The first one is close connections, like your tribe, your people that make you feel seen and heard and valued. And that's it can be anywhere from 3 to 5, maybe a little bit more than that, but it's not typically more than 5. But it's your tribe that you hold near and dear, and you feel super supported there. And so that's like your tier 1 social connections. And then your next tier is common clusters. And that's where you might be coworkers, people, if you're going to school, people you go to school with, people you go to church with, common groups where it's people that they may not overlap and they typically don't. And then your third one is random coincidental connections. And these are when you're going to a concert, or if you are at the store and you make conversation with your checker, or in your neighborhood, you see a new neighbor. Those are random coincidental connections that these varied connections are sometimes the most profound for the brain because you're a little uncomfortable. It's not super safe, but you're kind of putting yourself out there and having a conversation with someone. And those actually create the most neuroplasticity because you are pushed a little bit outside your comfort zone. But those are the three tiers of social connection. And we'll kind of, come back and circle back around to this because I might give you homework at the end in regards to those three tiers of connections. But we have found that without connections, people are experiencing a lot of loneliness, isolation, and this can happen from a myriad of things. It can happen from losing a loved one, or if you have started a new job, or if you've moved to a new location. These things can kind of create a social isolation, and you really kind of have to bust out of that. Sometimes it can happen because of social media. Social media, if you don't know how to manage your social media, it can create a lot of depressive feelings. And so it's really important to understand and recognize when you're feeling that way if you're on social media. It tends to happen more with the younger crowd than the older crowd, but I'm not gonna, it can happen to the older crowd that's on social media as well. So if you are feeling like you are lacking in social connection, the first step is to kind of evaluate what the root cause is. If it's because you've moved to a new area, or if it's because you have started a new job, or you've lost a loved one, so kind of or if it is social media, get to the root cause of what could potentially be causing you to feel isolated and not socially connected. Because then there's where we start to kind of fix the problem. So look at that if you're struggling. I see you nodding. Did you have anything to say or add there, Lady B?
Well, it is important. I call it doing a mirror check. It is very, very important to try to understand the root. And sometimes, unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, the root is us. So, the root is us. We have to take a look at ourselves and see what it is about us that either keeps us from wanting to be around people or from people wanting to be around us, because maybe that's it too. And
What?
I'm just
Everyone wants to be around us.
and we may need to do some work. People say if you want friends, show yourself friendly. And instead, we have to be careful that we're not going out looking for people to fix us or complete us, that we come to situations and relationships as whole as possible so people can complement us. That's what I was thinking.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's like one of the first steps is to how to build social, meaningful social connections and start strengthening your social skills is first you got to look in the mirror. And how I encourage people to do that is start journaling. And it's so funny. Every time I talk about journaling, I know that there's people out there in the audience that kind of cringe and they're like, journal? Like, really? Do I have to? But you can audio journal. You can do it on your phone. I mean, you don't have to write. You don't have to type it out. I love pen and paper. I have journals, so I like to write. And there's actually proven practice that it's good for you because it's multiple stages. You first have the thought, you write the thought, and then you're looking at the thought. And so it really helps you process and kind of remove it and not have it be in you. And you can evaluate it a little more clearly when you're journaling. But when you journal, you can start to really ask yourself, like, what are your likes? What are your dislikes? And this helps you figure out who you want to connect with and what your beliefs are, what your opinions are. All of these things are really important. Because it improves not only your own health, but it improves your social connections. So when I talk about journaling, it's just journaling anything and everything. And I say when you're journaling, there are no rules whatsoever. So there you be completely uninhibited and write all of your thoughts. And this gets you more in touch with yourself, because if you're in touch with yourself, then you're going to be able to show your best self. And if you're not able to show your best self, who are you going to be attracting? And so if you don't know who you are, then you're going to be attracting people that may not be the best for you. So get really in touch with who you are, what you like, what you don't like, your opinions, and that's okay because we all have opinions. But get comfortable with yourself. And then the next step is to explore the meaning of friendship. What does it mean to you? Do you want someone that gives you emotional support? Are you looking for someone to give you advice? Like you said, Lady B, don't look for someone to fix you, but it's nice to have a place, a symbiotic relationship where you can have a sense of belonging and you can speak your mind, but also allow other people to speak their mind, and so if we're judging ourselves less, then we're not going to judge other people and we can be open to conversations. And so these are really important parts of being prepared for an genuine or authentic, whatever word you like. I feel like authentic has been a buzzword that's been a little overused. So I've kind of shifted to using the word genuine, because it is, you want to be genuine and you want to be authentic. And the only way to really do that is get really in touch with yourself first. And then the next step after you explore your feelings around friendship, it's when you start engaging with other people, be an active listener. It's so important to be an active listener and maintain eye contact. And so when I was talking about those random coincidental interactions, this is a great opportunity to be an active listener and have eye contact, to stay in the moment and learn how to watch people's body language. It'll tell you a lot with body language when you just watch someone's how they're handling their own body, where they're looking, their facial expressions. And it really helps you to be in a place to just listen and no judgment and offer encouragement and ask questions and not want to be the center, like really get them to be in it. It'll be an amazing experience because you will be giving so much of yourself, but it'll be such a fill your cup because you'll see them just open up and blossom. And it's kind of one of those things that's really an amazing process to do. And it can be uncomfortable at first until you kind of get the hang of it. And then you realize how amazing it feels. Wouldn't you agree, Lady B? I know you do that. You're a great listener.
Well, I had to learn to be. One of my degrees is in counseling. You have to do a practicum where you just listen and you learn to turn your inner thoughts down, because so many times we want to say so. Oh, a rapid thought comes in, and you want to make sure you say have the next point, and you think you know what they're going to say, so you get your little point ready. But if you can just back up and just clear your mind and your heart so that you can listen to other people, it does make a difference. Listening, just because you can hear, does not mean you know how to listen. That is for sure. And I'll go back to say something about friendship, because we all have different definitions of friendship. But one of the academic definitions is that it is an interaction that is voluntary. So you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And
Yep.
sometimes we choose wisely and sometimes we don't, right? But if we can choose our friends, and it's voluntary, that means there's a negotiation that has to happen here. Because friendship on one level with one person may look different. I have friends that I go shopping with and to a walk-in movie with and lunch with, but they don't come over to the house. We're not that kind of friends, right? And so you have to understand that when you're looking for friendship or when you're connecting with people, to have conversations to make sure you're like-minded about what you're looking for, so that you can make
Mhm.
sure that you're giving each other what you need. You mentioned the symbiotic relationship, so that matters as well.
Oh yeah. That's that tier one, that close connection where there's really no judgment and you feel very valued, heard, seen, supported, all of those things. And that's your core, that's your tribe. And there's beauty in that, but there's also like a set like habitual way of being, because you tend to surround yourself with people that you want to be like, because that's just how we are. And I mean, we're designed to be social beings. So people that aren't social, I'm like, oh goodness, you are going to shorten your lifespan. Like it's really important. We're designed to be social. And with that being said, side note, there are times where like for me, I need isolation. Like I need to just shut down and kind of regroup, reframe, and then I can be social. So when I'm socially interacting, I am very engaged, very present. And then there's times where I'm going to remove myself and just be like, you know what? Like last week, I went to Colorado all by myself and did a lot of outdoor stuff by myself because I needed to just hit a reset, fill my cup, and just spend time with me, spend a lot of time journaling. And it was amazing.
You're a
So
big
there's
girl.
nothing wrong with wanting to be isolated as long as it's like measured. It's
Right.
not your lifestyle.
I like
Um,
that too. You mentioned journaling and you just said the word again that you needed to be by yourself and journal. Ming Tran, she asked the question, she says she always has a problem with journaling. How do you bypass the mental block?
So the mental block, I would ask more questions about why is it a mental block. So what I have encouraged, like, and I do this with younger kids when I'm teaching them about journaling, just start with writing down what happened during the day for you and your feelings towards it. And just start with the super basics, like what you did today, what you ate, how you felt about what you ate, how you felt about your interactions. Just write down starting with like what happened today. And then once you write down what happened, you'll start to pay attention to these feelings that start coming up. And then you can start writing about the feelings. But to start journaling, just write about what happened. What happened today? And if you're journaling at night, if you're journaling in the morning, journal about what happened yesterday, or even journal about what you want to happen. What are your intentions for today? And just journal around actions. And then once you start doing that, it'll be a natural progression of there'll be feelings attached to that. And then you can start writing about those feelings attached to those actions.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. I'm a very private person, and so I don't want my journal falling in the hands of anybody. So, what I find I journal about are things that if you picked it up, it's fine, which are basically things about gratitude. So, when I think about my day, what I'm grateful for, and even when the day doesn't go as lovely as I would like, and I can take those moments and reframe them. And so, if somebody's being a jerk or something, I can be saying that I'm grateful that I didn't go and slap them into next week, right? And then that's a nice. I'm so happy I didn't go slap them like I wanted to, but instead I just smiled. I'm
Like
teasing,
that
but
made me so mad. Like, yeah, exactly. Like this is what I wanted to do, but I didn't do it, and it's like, and you can
I'm
be happy
grateful.
or upset about it. Like it could go either way.
Right.
But yeah, absolutely. Just yeah. That's
I
funny
have
though.
a friend that when they journal song lyrics to songs. And then that can bring up emotion for them or feelings for them and just thoughts for them, period. And so there's a lot of things you can do. And there's also, Ming Tran, a lot of things on the internet that will give you prompts for how you can start to journal too. So there's a lot of options for you.
Oh, yes. I mean, you could Google journal prompts and you'll get a whole host. You'll get thousands of them. And those are kind of a good way. I mean, that's what I did with my children is I did journals with prompts to get them going and then it just to kind of create and develop habits. But yeah, you're not alone in that though. I promise you. There's a lot of people that are like journaling, like I don't even know where to start. It's like just start with what happened today. That's it.
I want to just take a quick moment and say thank you to everybody that's here. They're from all over Virginia, Maryland, Illinois, they're North Carolina, Indiana, Oklahoma, Wyoming, New York. They're from everywhere. We even have somebody in Sarasota, Florida. She says, I'm in my car, right? How wonderful that you took the time to tune in to hear and listen to what Coach has to share with us today. So we
Yes.
thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much for honoring us with your presence. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, please do. Well, before I continue on with like how to, what things to do to help create, social connections, I want to just circle back around and just say that one of the biggest things that we forget about is social connections, how it impacts our mental health. And then our mental health is associated with our physical health. So if you're not really taking effort to have social connections, if you find yourself developing depression, could be your social connections. If you find yourself having impaired sleep, difficulty maintaining focus and concentration, if you feel like you're on the edge of a cognitive decline, if you're having issues with your immune system, cardiovascular health, these are all things that can be helped by appropriate social connections. If you are increasing your self-care and you're developing unhealthy behaviors, with addictions, this all could be really around social connections. So this is why it's not something to like just brush aside and be like, yeah, I got friends, whatever, or, it's not that big of a deal. It's a very big deal. It's one of the top things to help keeping dementia at bay. And it's amazing when it's people would ask me like, how is it's because you're creating these neuro pathways and keeping that brain strong. People like, well, I play brain games. I'm like, those are nothing compared to social connections. Yeah, you're doing academic things when you're playing brain games, but the social connection helps just, and they haven't quite figured it out, but it just creates a different synergistic energy in the brain. And so there's so many studies and you could go Google and read all kinds of studies from the CDC to all kinds of organizations and colleges. It's one of those things that it is known to help keep the effects of the excess of like psychological stress. It helps combat that because we all encounter, psychological stress on a daily basis. And so social connections just helps manage that tremendously so it's really, really very important. So when I was talking about being an active listener, the next thing after that is if you want to be an active listener, sometimes it's good to have in your toolbox what I call conversation starters in mind. And this will help you with those not only common clusters, but those random coincidental interactions that you might have out in public, which are really, like I said earlier, some of the most impactful ones because it really forces us to be a little outside our comfort zone. So those neural circuits are going to have to fire a little bit more. But conversation starters, can be around, what are your likes and dislikes? Asking someone about that, or, not generalities, but like, do you like blah, blah, blah? Or who's your favorite artist? If you're at a concert, I was at a concert when I was in Colorado and I struck up conversations with the people next to me. I'm like, so what other concerts are you doing this summer? Um, and it makes it just so much fun. You could have conversation starters about food, about hobbies, about work, like where do they work? And asking them all kinds of questions. How long have they worked there? Do they like it? What don't they like about it? Asking questions about family, pets. If you're a jokester, like my youngest, that's his icebreaker is jokes. He has a joke for everything, it seems like. And so if you love laughter, jokes are always kind of a good thing to do. Or asking someone for their opinion. Gosh, when you ask someone for their opinion, most people love it. They're like, I'll share my opinion. Everyone wants to share their opinion. So if you ask somebody, they're like, yeah, I got you. So people love to feel heard. So if you're asking questions, it will light someone up. Just think about when someone has inquired with you as the listener, something about you. Everyone likes to I shouldn't say. I was gonna say everyone likes to talk about themselves, but not everyone does. Most people do. Sometimes I'm like drawing it out of them. I'm asking all kinds of questions to get them to get to where they have a passion, and then it's all of a sudden, then it's like, then I just pop the balloon. It's like, then they go. But sometimes it's just like, oh, this person's this person's not really wanting to talk.
And that's okay. Not everybody wants to talk all the time, and I certainly get that. But doing what you talked about, we call that other centered conversations. You want to be other centered, not make it about you, but somebody else. And then people do feel more valued. And sometimes the question can be just, how's your day going? Or tell me something about yourself that you'd like for me to know. And then they don't feel like you're being nosy or something. I have people ask me questions sometime, and I'm like, after I tell you, then what? I had somebody ask me the other day, do I have a pool? And I thought, why did they ask me that? You're not coming over. I didn't get, like, why?
Wait, was it a stranger?
Well, no, it's somebody at the office, but we're not
Okay.
close. I mean, I don't, And I use what we call equivocal language. And she still doesn't know if I have a pool. I said, I'm not much of a swimmer, but every now and then I like to put my feet in the pool. I mean, but
For
I
you.
don't know. It just flipped something. I was like, oh, why are you asking me this question? And maybe that was her way of just trying to get to know me. I don't know. But I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, sometimes we can answer questions with questions too. If somebody asks you a question and you're like, I'm not sure I want to give that up, you can ask it right. You can ask a question right back. It's fine to do that. Like sometimes I'll do that. I'm like, and it's my thought process. Like, what are you getting at? And for you, it's like, why you want to come over?
I was thinking all kind of thing. I'm like, why is she asking me that? And I couldn't figure it out. And had I asked her, and that might have been the thing to just say, that's an interesting question. Why do you ask? And then I would have
Yeah.
had my answer instead of me coming up in my own head. Because sometimes we can manufacture things that aren't really there, that aren't right. And so, right. So
Yes.
maybe my
Yes.
hormones were off, and I'm just imagining all kind of things. It can be a
Yeah.
lot of things like that too. So you got to be
Oh,
careful.
yeah. Exactly. Well, I want to talk about things that you can do to help create these social interactions if you're feeling like you're lacking in them, or how do I get going? So, engage in activities with others that things that you enjoy doing. If you love to crochet, find a crochet group. If you love to read, find a book club. If you love to travel, there's travel clubs that you can get on and connect with people. And when I talk about connecting, you can find groups that meet up in person, and then there's also meetups online. But find people that enjoy doing what you do. Like if you like to ride bikes, go to a bike shop and ask them, do they have a group ride? So there's things that you can do, that you can just find groups, that's how you can find your, not necessarily your tribe, but one of your common clusters. And so then the next thing you can do is find a new hobby. Like if you've always wanted to learn how to dance, go take ballroom lessons. If you've always wanted to learn how to play guitar, pick up a guitar. You can rent them. Find a new hobby. And like I'll go back to crocheting, because for some reason I don't know why that keeps popping up for me, and I think it's because I was looking into it for my daughter, for her to have like a little hobby, because she's a bookworm. Like she reads voraciously, and so I was like, let's get you into something new too. But just finding something new that gives you an opportunity to meet some new people. Or third, reconnect with an old pen pal. And who doesn't like receiving something cool in the mail? How many times do you go to the mailbox and it's just 90% junk mail, or bills? And you're like, this is no fun. But if you see like a handwritten envelope, you're like, this is awesome. Like, who's this from? Or even if you know what it's from, it's like it's exciting to open it up, and it's just something fun. Like my best girlfriend lives in Illinois, and every once in a while I'm sending something totally random in the mail, and she's doing it for me too. And it's just so fun. It just deepens the connection that much better. And I love writing. So uh or find a movie night. There's like local movie nights where you can go, and like groups will go and go see a movie together. So there's all kinds of things that you can do to reconnect um, with people. And then fourth, volunteer. Volunteer, volunteer, volunteer. You will fill your cup tenfold. It's one of the most amazing experiences. And I mean, Lady B, you can speak to this too, because it gives you an opportunity to give to other people, and you feel so amazing, and you can really meet some amazing people and amazing friends volunteering.
Absolutely. Giving back, it just means so much, and it takes you out of yourself. Sometimes when you just find a way to be altruistic, it takes you away from your worries and your own cares. And when you find that you can help other people, you end up feeling better. It does something for you physically, for your immune system, it does
Yeah.
something for you mentally. All of those things that we talked about that connections do, that's all part of it.
Yeah. And AARP has all kinds of opportunities for you to volunteer. So that's the first place you should go is
Absolutely. Check out your local AARP office. You can go online and do that, or call the office that's nearest to you. I mean, that's what I do here, and I just absolutely enjoy the time that I get to spend with Coach SheriAnne.
So really quick before we wrap, here's your homework. So tier one, your close connections. I want you to reach out to those people and show gratitude, whether you write them a note, you call them, send them some flowers, whatever. Uh, but reach out and let them know, show them some gratitude and let them know that they have been a huge part of your well-being. And gratitude is one of the best things that you can do. So reach out to your close connection, your tribe, and let them know, be thankful. Your common clusters, try talking to someone new. If you're going to, work, school, church, wherever, branch out in there and talk to someone new in that. And then our random coincidental contacts. I know every single one of you that's watching this today or listening to this is going to either be going to the store, going to the gas station, going somewhere, walking your neighborhood, and make eye contact and smile at a stranger. And that's all you got to do. Make eye contact, smile, say hi. Hope you're having a great day.
All of those things work, and compliment somebody else. You'd be surprised what that does for somebody
Yes.
too. Thank you so much, Coach, for everything that you shared with us. July 8th, we're going to be back, and Coach is going to talk to us about the benefit of and the different types of meditation. So come on back and see us. Until then, thank you so much for being with us. You've honored us with your presence. Take care, and God bless.
Yeah. Thank you.